Morning, guys. Big Man Comics Live. It's Gabe here. I don't have my lovely assistant with me today, but that's okay. I'm going to be working on a Unstoppable Tyrus cover for you guys in a little bit here, but I got to send the tweets out. Guys, it's time to send the tweets out. Don't you just all love social media? But yeah, how is anyone going to know about this if I don't put it out there? So let me just log into my own YouTube account and hit the share. I always tell you guys to share, but I'm going to hit the share. I'm going to be the one. Come in, give a thumbs up, do all that good stuff, and we're going to have a great time. You're going to get to see how the sausage is made. Who likes sausage? Raise your hand. Have you ever had the Filipino sausage, longanisa? Join me live. Sorry, I'm typing to Twitter. So then I got to add another one. Here's the link. Then I got to get the image. No, it's save this. Sorry, we're doing a lot of things here. We're juggling a lot of plates. Things I should have done, but I was enjoying my coffee too much this morning. So I was a little late coming to the show, but that's okay, everyone. That is okay. Let's see. Join me live. Making comics. Talking life. Okay. There we are. There we are. Yeah, I had a great time watching my buddy Matthew Marsden's show this morning. He's great dude. All right, there we go. Post all. Okay, we posted that to Twitter. Okay, now let me bring up what I was going to color. Well, we can get rolling here, guys. Okay. You know what? I'm also going to share this out to Facebook. I should have done all this off the air. What on earth are you doing? I saw the SCOTUS rulings. That was really good this morning. That stuff. They ruled that the lower courts can't just overturn everything Trump wants to do, which is duh. That was never in their power, and I don't know how that happened. They ruled that you can pull your kids out of school if you don't like the filth that they are up to. Join me live. Sorry, this is posted on the Facebook. Share. And that's good. They had like 3 or 4 great rulings. I remember when I voted for Trump originally, I didn't know how it would go. I was worried that the swamp would run circles around him and it would be a disaster for presidency. It's just Trump number 1. I was very worried about this because he wasn't a politician. He doesn't know the swamp. What are they going to do to him? Blah, blah, blah. Would they trick him? And in a lot of ways they did. Nothing against Trump. He's best president we've ever had, in my opinion. But hold on. Let's see. We'll bring this up. Let me go to infinity. But really, that's just this over here. Okay. So, but yeah, welcome, man. Hit the like, all the things for the algorithm, guys. The algo. Hit those things. You want to make a comment, you want to send a super chat, you want to hit the like, you want to hit the share. So right now I'm in Adobe Photoshop and I'm using this pen here on this screen here, which you cannot see because I'd have to pull the camera on. And I'm working on this right here. This is a cover to the Unstoppable Tyrus. We're going to have at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 covers. I don't know. We got a lot of great artwork for this book. It's almost done. I've taken a time out on working on it, on finishing the illustrations to do another illustration project. But I will be back to this sooner rather than later. So, but I thought I'd show a little bit of this to you guys. So as I work, I'm going to have to lean over here to look at the comments. Gino Saunders, great work, Gabe, working Big Man Comics. Thank you, Gino. But yeah, you get to see how the sausage is made right here. So, but yeah, I saw some of the Supreme Court rulings today, and it was fantastic. But I remember telling my wife, I loved Trump when he ran in 2015, and I voted for him, and I was very happy he got elected. I was a little concerned what the swamp would do to an inexperienced guy like him. But, he did real estate in New York City. That's pretty rough and tumble and cutthroat. And he seems to have done well there. And Trump has the kind of intelligence. He'd be good at anything. He is good at anything. He's unflappable. His mind is so good, so quick that he really can succeed in any environment. So I thought he'd do good. But I was a little concerned what the swamp was going to do. And they did a lot of crap to him the first time. But I said to my wife, as long as he gets the SCOTUS with a conservative majority, whatever else happens, it will have been worth it, And I think that's bore out to be true, and he's exceeded that greatly. That to me was my floor, my minimum with him, that I wanted him to be able to at least get the SCOTUS the way it should be. The way it should be. We don't need this stuff where it's a 5-4 conservative majority, yet you always have Roberts voting with the other side, right? So that Roberts, he's a shit lib. He is. He's no conservative. Like, you kidding me, dude? He is the swamp. He's that George Bush, Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney. Those guys are not. They're not conservatives. What are you conserving with their policies, right? So they're anti-American. They're donor class first. They're horrible, quote, conservatives. I think the rhinos, those donor class conservatives, are actually worse than liberals to me, because at least the liberal, I know where they stand. At least they're being upfront with me about who and what they are. This blue's a little too saturated. Let's back it off. Why don't you back off? We don't want to get bags on those eyes. But yeah, I was very excited about what I saw this morning. It was great. It's going to make America great again, everyone. So with a color like blue, the gamut, that is the range of colors available for printing, is so different than what is available on the computer, right? With the computer, you have millions, billions, quagor billion, if we can make up a number of colors, right? You can just go forever with the colors on the computer. But you have to keep in mind this is going to be printed on paper. And that will limit what you're doing here, because blue, man, it can get so juicy and glowing, lightsaber blue, right? And just this energy blue, and there's no such ink as that. So you got to be very judicious with how you spice it up here, So that's a very important thing I like to keep in mind. Oh, my wife is in the chat. Hello, Mad Moxie. Yeah, guys, hit the share. We need that. We need you guys to hit the share, and we need that out there, please. But yeah, this is going to be an awesome cover for the Unstoppable Tyrus. He's very excited about this. He and I spoke about this recently, and he says he is ready to put rockets on this project. So if you want to be a part of something big, you're going to want to be a part of this. I mean, look at me. I'm huge, right? 6'4", big dude. Stood next to Tyrus. He's bigger than me. So when I say someone is big, they're big. Okay? That's how that works. It's interesting being my size. You never run into people bigger than you when you're my size, almost ever. And when you do, it's like, whoa, it's kind of you notice it when you're my size, when you actually run into someone bigger. So yeah, Tyrus is a big dude. And that's why we call it Big Man Comics. People might wonder why, people that don't know me or don't know that about me, like, why did you call it Big Man Comics? And it's like, because I'm a big man. It's my company. It's like Eric July with Rippaverse. He called it Rippaverse because he's Young Rippa, right? That was like his old name on whatever, YouTube or something like that. So yeah, that's what you can do when it's you. You want to name it something that's important to you. Like, there's a marketing aspect, but also like something that means something to you, because it is my company. It's my life's work, right? All that good stuff. So that's where that name came from, for those of you that have been wondering about that. But we're modeling this, right? So what you want to do with the colors always is to reinforce what the illustration had. You don't want to take off on your own. One thing I see about a lot of colorists, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just trying to be factual, is they don't know how to draw very well. They don't know anatomy that well, this and that. And sometimes they'll look at the drawing from the illustrator and they kind of don't know how to interpret it correctly. And they'll start going off road. They'll drive right off the road and start defining the face and the muscles and stuff in their own way that is not agreeing with what the illustrator intended. You have to be very careful of that, because you'll break a drawing, you'll ruin it, you'll change the shape of what they were trying to do. Plus, always and if you don't know, like when you're drawing, when you're writing, when you're coloring, when you're doing anything, if you don't know, less is more. Just always, that could be your guide. I remember when I was in driver's ed as a kid, and I actually used this in real life once to great effect. If you're driving and the lights are in your eyes from a semi truck coming in the other direction, you cannot see. You stare down at the white line, the white line for the breakdown lane or the bike lane or whatever. If looking in front of you does you no good, you look at the white line off the road. That'll do something. At least you'll know that you're in the white line, you're in your lane. That was the advice they gave us in the driver's ed. And yeah, it's a great concept. It makes sense. And my daughter was driving home from Hollywood. She used to live there back in 2019. She was driving home, and it was horrible fog fog to the point where you can't see. And this is nasty what happened in this fog the next day. A tragic international tragedy happened because of this very fog. But my daughter calls me crying, driving down the freeway. She can't see. And I told her that thing about staring at the side of the road, and she did it, and it worked. And she got home safely. You know, it's 100 and something miles from Hollywood to my house. Well, I woke up the next morning, and I see tragedy. My favorite basketball player of all time, Kobe Bryant, has died in a helicopter crash. That same fog. So terrible. Yeah, if you don't know about the Kobe Bryant thing, there's YouTube videos that kind of analyze it, and I think they play some of the air traffic control tower. And basically, one of the videos I saw, and I'm alleging this, YouTube, I don't know this for a fact, but basically it was so foggy for Kobe Bryant's helicopter that they had him flying a different way, a different altitude, whatever. And the guy that knew, hey, Kobe's helicopter, we're going to fly it differently than we normally would to go from point A to point B here in LA, that guy went on break. And someone else came in and didn't know that we were doing something different with the helicopter. And also that helicopter in the video I watched analyzing it didn't have the ground sensing device, the thing that goes pull up, 300 feet, that thing that talks. Apparently it wasn't equipped with that because by law, that particular size or kind or whatever helicopter didn't have to have that device. I don't know if any of that's true. That's a YouTube video. I've seen two YouTube videos about it, but tragedy, man. How sad. Kobe, the second greatest basketball player of all time, after the great Michael Jordan. LeBron James is not even a top 10 basketball player. You kids don't know what you're talking about when you say he's great. So, yeah, but we're having a great time, guys. Big Man Comics is on the move because of you. I thank you for it. I thank you very much for what you've helped me do here with my friends and family. It's a true dream. It's a true dream come true, if we could overuse the word true. So look at this. Okay, so the shoulder and the bicep are two things, yet I'm shading them as one. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to get the general shape correct. This is just my coloring technique here. I think it works really well. Okay, so now I've destroyed the bottom of this shoulder muscle's definition that he wanted. So I'm going to come back in and cut the bicep off. Watch. I'm going to cut the bicep off, and now I just have the shoulder. Then I'm going to switch my pen to clear mode, which just means turn it into an eraser, but use the same texture we were using to render. And then we back out with a shadow. You see how that worked? You see? Pretty clever, eh? And we can get just a little there. Now, you want to be careful with things like this where a line is being defined by the colorist right here, because he didn't draw that line. So I need to be very gentle with things like that and not overdo them. But I do know how to draw and know anatomy because I'm also an illustrator myself. So I feel very comfortable defining things like that. Again, I think that's a bit harsh. What I would do is circle it with my lasso, feather that selection so it's like soft and feathery, that selection, and then I would blur it. So I'd go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and blur it, 2 or 3 pixels, and then just blur it a couple times. You could also use a smudge tool and just soften that up, you see? Because I don't want to be drawing with my colors. The drawing was already done by Akion, who illustrated this cover, so I got to respect that. And it's not even just about respect or ego for him or anything like that. It's about artistic principles. I don't need this coloring to disagree with the drawing, ever. That's amateur hour. It'll look terrible if you do that. So, yeah. But we're gonna finish this book in July sometime as far as the illustration goes. The colors will be done after that. And I think I'm gonna crowdfund this one in the late summer, fall. We're obviously gonna crowdfund Empyrean first. It's a great book. It's already done. I'll show it to you guys in just a second here. It's a great book. That was supposed to be black. He's got these leather things that go from the bicep to the forearm, and then on the forearm he's got those cloth wraps. So, but I have Empyrean right here. Earth Illuminated. It's 120-page, awesome science fiction graphic novel. You're going to absolutely look at how gorgeous this is. This is a proof print. This is absolutely the same kind of quality that you'll get when you pre-order, when you crowdfund this thing. I just wanted to take the risk up front and show you guys that I got it done. And I have a huge order to the printers now. And we're going to go live on my birthday, July 47th, because I'm turning 47. There are not 47 days in July. As far as I know, there are 31. July 24th, we'll be going live with the crowdfunding for this. Go to bigmancomics.com and get on the mailing list so you can stay abreast of all of that. So, Tom Jensen says, howdy, Tom Jensen, and congratulazione. He told me in Italian. No, he didn't. Monomachus, thank you. Sorry, drawing is right in front of me, and comments are over on that screen. So I'm not nuts. I'll turn that way to read it. Plus, I'm not wearing my glasses. See, I wear spectacles, but it's only like to drive and watch television across the room. If I put on my glasses now, and my drawing screen's just like this far, it's too close, so I can't wear my glasses. But I need the glasses to read the comments over there, so it's a little bit of leaning in and turning and leaning in and turning and stuff like that. So bear with me. But thank you. Yeah, so we're having a great time. We truly are. One thing I know for a fact is this industry needs more great colorists. You know, because coloring, I've talked about it before. It's kind of like a V12 engine, Adobe Photoshop. You could do a ton with it. And I see a lot of colorists kind of don't know what they're doing with it. They're going a little buck wild, and they're doing too much. And art, in all forms of art, less is always more. The drawing is so good, I don't need to go nuts with the color. If I do too much with the color, I can mess this drawing up pretty badly. And you see that in comics. You see all kinds of weird lines on the face, and they don't know how to define the nose. And it's like, I feel like sometimes a colorist, they don't know what to do, so they feel like they have to justify, like, well, I got to do something. It's like, what you got to do is calm that anxiety down and do nothing. Let go. It's like when Luke Skywalker lets go in the trench. Obi-Wan tells him, let go, trust the Force. You gotta just let go on this stuff and not do things sometimes. That's that concept of negative space, right? And I think that there's an anxiety in artists if you're trying to be like proving yourself and validation seeking mindset, that you're going to be like, well, I got to do something. And it's like, you don't have to do something. Just leave it. Leave it. You can't care what people think. You cannot. Because what people think isn't true. It's just their opinion. It isn't true or untrue. It's an opinion. So in that regard, it just kind of doesn't matter. Trust and be in the moment. Yes, Monomachus. You pencil and Procreate, but color in Photoshop. Any reason for that? Why not all Procreate? Oh, because Procreate doesn't have the tools to color. No. You see all these, let's zoom way out. You see all these fancy dancy menus up here? Procreate doesn't have anything for printing almost. Procreate is very much for drawing. Procreate draws so much better than Photoshop. The way the pens and the pencils work in Procreate just demolishes Photoshop. It's not close. It's not even close how good Procreate is at drawing, but that's what it's good at. It's not good. Like I was trying to work on an image in Procreate, and I needed a tablecloth for my booth at Comic-Con, and it needed to be 96 inches by 27.25, and I wanted to go at least 200 DPI, which is kind of low, but which is fine for printing on a tablecloth. I couldn't even make that in Procreate. It wouldn't allow me to make a file of that size. So Procreate is very much for digital, for the internet and stuff like that, but you can use it for print for your black and white drawings. So yes, all the comic illustration that I have been doing lately has been on the iPad. But here I'm at my different workstation, my desktop Mac Studio, which is a V12. The Mac Studio is a masterpiece from Apple Computer. They shouldn't have made it. There is no reason to buy the Mac desktop, the real Mac that's like $6,000. The Mac Studio you can get for like not even $2,000. Mine was like $4,000 because I got a lot of extra memory, a lot of extra processing power, because I like my computers to last me years. Mine, I've only bought 4 Macs since 2001. So you do the math there on that, right? And I've had some last me as long as like 7 years. And, but the Mac Studio, it's too powerful for the price relative to what Apple usually charges for their stuff. And it's an outstanding little computer. It looks like the Mac Mini, but just bigger. Like if the Mac Mini was 60% bigger, that's what the Mac Studio looks like. It's just a little silver box. And it's an outrageously good computer. So I got it about a year and a half ago. Before that, I had an iMac, and before that, I had an iMac, and before that, I had a Mac, regular Mac desktop. I had the G4 Mac going back in 2001. So yeah, that's yeah. Procreate's great for drawing, not great for print compared to Photoshop. You know what I mean? So, and just for editing and selecting, like selecting is the power of Photoshop, right? So when I want to select something in here, so I don't render anything, like this hand, I just want to select this hand. I don't want to touch the smoke behind him. I don't want to touch his wrist guard, his hand. The magic wand, boom. Procreate has stuff like that. It doesn't work nearly as good or simply or clearly. Further, if I want to expand a selection, right? I say select, modify, expand, 10 pixels. Okay, and then I can just make something like that, right? So I get a clean select. You can't do that in Procreate. And that is such a basic thing that you need to do. Just outlining stuff and stuff like that. It's like you cannot do that in Procreate. You can grow it, but when you grow it, it's fuzzy. So let's go select, modify, expand. Same thing. Let's go 20. Then, without you asking, automatically what Procreate has also done is this feather 20. So it's always a blurry selection. So let's fill it. You see how that's airbrushy? I don't want that. And you can't not do that in Procreate. That is such a basic, important thing to have when you're working is the selection tools. And the selection tools in Procreate are crap compared to Photoshop. So there are huge reasons to use Photoshop. Procreate, nothing can touch it for drawing. Clip Studio comes in a close second. I have Clip Studio, and I want to use Clip Studio on my iPad, but you can't buy it. On my desktop, I bought Clip Studio. It's $150. I have it on the Mac. For the iPad, it's subscription only, like $30 a month. I don't want to do that because Procreate was $9.99, one-time fee. No, you never pay again, and you have Procreate forever. So, you know, the ecosystem for this stuff is crazy out there. It's kind of weird what's going on. But, you know, whatever. I'm glad we have it. I'm glad we have stuff that's kind of a greenish, warm gray. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if there's something coming. But yes, but ultimately, what I really like, I'm working on my own Tyrus cover. What I really want to do is just draw everything on paper. I'm doing this stuff digitally for the sake of speed. But my own Tyrus cover, because this cover is done by my buddy Akion. He's the illustrator for this. I'm coloring it. My own, I do want to do that regular pen and ink. You know what I mean? I really like coloring his stuff because as I've matured as an artist, I have found that less is more is so applicable to working with him. And I get his work. And it also has to do with him being my mentor. Like a lot of the stuff I've drawn, the Tyrus book, I'm doing the inks on it, right? I'm doing the finishes. He's doing all the layouts for me. So yes, it's being drawn by me, but it's layouts, you know, and that's a thing that's missing in our business. That's always been the norm in art for, you know, all of human history. You know, like you have master and apprentice stuff going on forever. And it was in animation and comics and all that. And for whatever reason, comics kind of lost that. And it feels like as the culture becomes more insecure, more validation seeking, less patriarchal culture, we don't grow up with the concept of dad teaching us to be a man. You know what I mean? And it's okay that I don't know things and the older guy knows stuff I don't know. And we've lost that as a culture. So people are like, I'll figure it out myself. It's all me. It's all me. That's foolish. Like if I can learn from someone who's animated for Disney and worked in comic books for 10 or 15 years longer than me, why wouldn't I want them to show me everything they know? So yeah, he does a lot of layout work for me, helping me just get better and better and better because I want to learn forever. I want to know what he knows. You know, I'll send him drawings. I'll send him concepts. Okay, what's wrong with this? How would you improve this? And not only does he know how to do it, he knows how to explain it. You know, he was like a lead animator over at Disney. So he really knows his stuff and he knows how to educate. And that's what I'm looking for because you can never be good enough. I want to be, and people like I think insecure people laugh at this. I want to be better than Frank Frazetta. I want to be better than JC Linedecker. Will I ever be? I don't care. I want to be, so I'm going to work on it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but I'm never going to quit working towards that. And I think that should be your approach to life for everything you do. I want to be better than the best because why not? And yeah, maybe you'll get there, maybe you won't. But I think it was in Notre Dame coach, one of the coaches. I don't know if it was Lou Holtz or who it was. Who cares who said this? A great football coach said the following: in the pursuit of perfection, you will achieve excellence. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be better than Frank Frazetta. You don't need to be better than any of these people. That's ego. What you need is to try to be better. Maybe you'll do it, maybe you won't. But in the trying, that's where the excellence comes from. And as a man, your self-esteem, your mental health, all that is going to come through competence. And competence comes from mastery. Okay. And mastery comes from doing the work. That's it. You do the work and you figure out what has to be done. And doing the work comes from the discipline of telling myself no when it's time to say no, and yes when it's time to say yes. So that's that. That's that. And I don't want to hear otherwise. Hold on. I don't like the shape I created here. There should be more of a shadow. Yeah, because that finger is kind of overlapping the pinky finger. I made the pinky finger too prominent. We just back that out. Okie dokie. We got that glove done. Let's jump over here since we have the same color. We don't want to. But yeah, Aikion and I have a lot of the same sensibilities already with art. And now even more and more and more have rubbed off on me because I've been under his tutelage for a few years now. But he's been a godsend as a collaborator because he has my same mindset, his same values, stuff like that. So that's very helpful to what I'm doing here. And we get along on a personal philosophical level as men and as fathers and stuff like that. The same sort of things are important to us. So I also enjoy that about his friendship. There's another comment over here. In that case, do you plan to be the change you want to see? Make a video start to finish of 8-page sample comic to share your knowledge for newcomers. Yeah, eventually we'll have to get to stuff like that, how stuff happens. I mean, as you watch on here, you're free to ask any question you want about my technique, my thought process, what I'm doing. But, watching this is probably pretty valuable to see things. There are secrets and tricks and all kinds of things I've amassed over the years just from doing this. And that's the only way to learn. Like, you think of the great the discoverers, right? You think of course, the greatest minds of all time. You got your Da Vinci, you got your Nikola Tesla. Thomas Edison was a very good businessman and swindled people out of their ideas. But you got these people that really succeed. And of course, the modern Tesla is Elon Musk. No coincidence that he named his company Tesla, one of his companies. And it all comes from just doing stuff over and over and over and over. And I think when you live in a world that doesn't have fathers, you're afraid to fail in public if you didn't have it and you really grew up with that stupid anti-male feminist mindset that you should be perfect out the gate and any failure is weakness and embarrassment and blah, blah, blah. And do you know how many light bulbs Thomas Edison went through before he figured out the incandescent vacuum filament? They said in a book I read 10,000, which I find hard to believe. But even if that number is exaggerated for, historical literary purposes, it was thousands and thousands of what losers would call failure. And I just say is steps to progress, right? So, and it came from, I said, I think he was thinking about coal in a thing I read. And the reason that charcoal doesn't burn is if you burn the wood in a low oxygen environment, it won't quickly burn all the wood up because you need oxygen to oxidize. That's another word for burning. You need oxygen to oxidize the wood fully, right? But if they smother the wood and kind of like let it smolder, you'll eventually get charcoal. This is how charcoal works. And then charcoal burns forever because charcoal is just like this carbon lattice of what was left of the wood. So he realized, these light bulbs burn out too fast. But if we put the film on the light bulb in a low oxygen environment, then it would burn like charcoal super slowly. And that's why it's a vacuum light bulb. That's where that concept came from. It took him thousands of bulbs to get to that, to really get to that. So, to get good at anything is just doing it and doing it and doing it over and over and over. And you'll eventually make enough quote unquote mistakes and failures that the truth will be revealed. That's how the truth is revealed, by the way. The truth isn't revealed by truth. It's revealed by mistakes and failures, and people don't get that. And when you're raised in the anti-father culture, it's not okay to fail, loser, everyone on the sideline, everyone in the peanut gallery, ha ha ha. But like, okay, what have they done with their life? Right. So, and I think a lot of that haterade, that booing people who achieve things, it comes from feelings of insecurity. Like, would they see someone winning and victorious and their skin starts crawling? So to manage their own feelings of, just disgust with themselves and their feelings of self-pity for being a quote-unquote loser in their own mind, they start mocking the guy who's trying. Teddy Roosevelt had a thing about this that he wrote, like the man in the arena. And it addressed this very concept that, yeah, it's easy to say shit from the side, but go get in the arena and let's see who you really are. Not happy with this right here. I need a bit of a softer brush to kind of chew up the side of this. These fingers are too flat. They're not round enough. So I'm gonna erase them and do it over. So I did a little too much there. I didn't like the way that came out on that hand there. But yeah, the man in the arena is the concept. And Teddy, Google that, look it up. If my assistant was here for the YouTube, we'd have her get it, but we don't have the lovely assistant today. We just have the lovely me. And that's how it is, guys. Okay, so the light should come more from the front. That would be the closest point to the viewer. And then we want a simple shape inside the center line, and we'll just agree with that. And then we'll get these a little bit better. Okay, select that and then come back. Okay. So yeah, that's because to me, everything is mindset. The skills, like how to move a pencil, how to move a pen, all that can just be taught. That's the easy part of what we do. It's thinking, am I a winner? Do I deserve this? Am I capable of this? Whatever you believe, you're going to help make it come true. There's that old canard, that old saying, a man who thinks he can't is right. And if you don't think you can do something, then yeah, you're right. You won't be able to do it mostly. You might get lucky or there might be some funny circumstance. But if you really don't believe, then, you're halfway to failure already. I would say if you don't believe, you're 90% to failure. You don't need much else to fail than to just not believe. And you'd be surprised what you can do if you just believe in yourself. And that isn't some Disney, like, hopium bullshit. It's just true. Uh-oh. Hold on. I made a little mistake with my full screen there. Let me fix this. Okay, hold on. My auxiliary screen went out on me for just a second. The cable is on the bottom of this extra screen I have right over there. And over the months, every once in a while, it kind of slides out. I'll have to put some sort of I don't know, like a zip tie or something on it. Okay, there we are. We should be back. Okay, we're back. And where did this go? Okay, I could put the chat back up here. Okay, there we is. Yeah, that's a weird thing that happens sometimes. That takes it a few weeks or months or whatever. That does go. Let's see. All right. But yeah, thank you for being in here. Thank you for your support. We're very excited to bring you Empyrean Earth Illuminated. It's going to be awesome. You're going to really enjoy it. I guarantee it. I've sent out some review copies to some people I really respect. And they have told me, bravo, young man. They like it a lot. No less than a great Mike Barron, the Eisner-winning writer. He loved it. So, and then a book editor, a friend of mine, I'm doing a little work for, Tony Daniel. He of the brand new Arc Publishing. He thought it was great too. So look for that. They're going to be having some stuff to say about that soon. So I'm very excited about it. It's a good time. One thing I want to know, because I keep my ear to the ground on pop culture and all this. I kind of know, what's going on, and but I would like to know, like maybe I'll send out surveys and stuff. What other things you guys are interested in? I want to know from you guys, what other genres do you really like? Because I thought about doing some superhero stuff for a while, and I was just like, will that sell? Or has that all been burned out by Marvel and DC, and like people are kind of sick of the Avengers and sick of all that, and like a straight up like superhero comic? Because the Unsolvable Tyrus is a superhero comic in many regards, but it's also like an action adventure movie too. I tend towards those, I tend towards action adventure because that's just a thing that I love. But I want to know, would you guys want to buy more superhero stuff? That's the thing I'm unsure of. So if you want to let me know about that, I would greatly appreciate the information. You know, so. But yeah, it was a good day to start off. I saw online there were some rulings by Trump's Supreme Court that were very good for America, for families. The main one I saw is the Supreme Court getting rid of the nonsense from those district courts that just think that they overrule the president. Oh, district court says Trump can't do this, Trump can't do, like, you're the court, you're the district court, you're not the president. And they would issue these federal injunctions across the whole land, as if the Constitution grants anything resembling that, which it does not. And it was so good to see the SCOTUS tell them to smack them down, say, sorry, commies, not today, not today, commies. So that was very good to see. And then there was another one saying that parents could opt out of material that they found objectionable to their children to be being forced down their throats at school. And of course, that's just common sense. We do have religious freedom in this country. And, people talk about separation of church and state, which does not even appear in the Constitution, that phrase. But, the Congress shall make no law respecting one religion, blah, blah, blah. The whole thing about separation of church and state is not to protect the government from church. That is not what this country is found on. It's to protect the church from the government. See, but leftists always want to flip it around. I saw Stefan Molyneux say something I think it's Molyneux. I don't know. I haven't heard many people say his name out loud. I think he's a great, I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he brings up some great points culturally. And he said, atheists don't believe what they believe because they're rational and they want to avoid the irrationality of religion. They want to avoid they want to avoid morality. And I've been saying that for years. Like, atheistic people, they want there to not be a God and not be any rules or laws. So then whatever makes them feel good is okay. That's so easy to see, And it is no coincidence they seem to only attack Christianity. Think about that. Don't watch what people say, watch what they do. They only attack Christianity, and they attack the sin of pleasure, right? They're like, oh, I like doing XYZ, and because the Bible or Christians or a Christian religion says not to do it, therefore it's wrong. The thing that tells me that my pleasure might be bad for me or society, obviously it's wrong because I'm enjoying myself. Is that how anything works? I don't think so. I don't think that's how anything works. And just because something feels good doesn't mean it's wrong. I'm not saying that either. But I'm saying if you're heuristic of what is right, in the same regard that because it feels good doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, well, reverse that. Just because it feels good doesn't make it right. But when you worship the church of self, which is atheism, then of course the heuristic is, well, if it feels good, it's right. So it's good to see our Supreme Court say, no, you can't force people to join your ideology. These are their kids, not yours. And you're not going to force your ideology on them. Like, thank goodness, because no one is a-religious. Actually, no one is an atheist. There's no such thing. You have a religious belief. Everyone does. It may not be an organized church, but you do have what you believe about reality and your place in it, and the very nature of your reality. You do have beliefs in that. Everyone does. You can't not have those beliefs. That cannot be a null value. You can't say, I don't know. You can't say there is nothing. We're not real. None of this is real. None of it matters. None of it's. You can't say that because you don't think that. You have an opinion. Everyone does. And what you don't have is the right to force it on other people. So. But the whole atheist being rational, logical, and not just like, hey man, I don't like these rules because I want to do naughty things. That's been obvious to me since I was a youngster. Like, duh, who doesn't think that? Of course, I think it too. Everyone thinks it. Everyone wants there to be no rules but the rules I make for myself. You run into a lot of trouble when we live that way, though. If I just do what I want to do, there might be consequences, and not just for me. It's bad enough if they're just for me. What if they're for my wife and children and all of that? No, we don't need that. So, I don't know. But I like to see, again, I said earlier in the show, when Trump was running the first time, I was unsure of him, but I supported him because it's better than what we got. And he's turned out to be, in my opinion, the best president this country's ever had. But he's still, the swamp, just they stay up to their dirty tricks constantly. He has to constantly battle them. But it's nice to see the Supreme Court take one of their major arrows out of their quiver of the injunction and just stop the presidential authority. A vast, overwhelming majority of Americans voted for Trump to be in charge, and he needs to be in charge. And we need to have his agenda, because you don't know what's going to happen in 2 years with the midterms. Historically, the party with the president loses in the midterms, they lose some power. So if Trump doesn't have the majorities after the midterms, it's going to be shenanigans. It's going to be probably another fake impeachment and investigations, and Trump's colluding with Russia and all the things they. Yeah, my favorite part of all that is proven that they quite literally make that stuff up and lie about it, and no one gets in trouble. No one goes to jail. That's the part that is outrageous to me. Just officials and big shot people you hear on the news and all that. Yeah, they just kind of lied about all that, and we'll just all move on like nothing happened. How is that okay? There's those people at the, I don't know, New York Post or Washington Post or whatever, some fake news piece of shit organization won the Pulitzer Prize for their reporting on the Russia Gate scenario. And now it's now they have to pay a fine and should have to give their Pulitzer Prize back because it was lies. It was made up. So they get an award for fake news. Okay, I guess. And then it's the court, the witnesses, the testimony, the evidence, that was all made up. None of it was true. I don't know. It's weird to me. It's not weird. It's just kind of disappointing that so many of the people in charge that control the levers of power, they're just in it for themselves. It's just crazy. It sucks. The people that would do good for society and for the country, they're not interested in being politicians. They're interested in being entrepreneurs and family men and all this stuff, and they don't want to be there. And it's kind of it reminds me of Moses in the Bible. He was going to be God's prophet and go around preaching, and he had his brother Aaron, and he didn't want to do it, Moses, and he wasn't a great speaker, and I think he had a stutter and stuff like that, and Aaron was a better speaker, so they would kind of tag team it and do it together. But it just kind of reminds me the guy's good for it. He's got the info and all this and that, but he doesn't want to do it. And I think about that. Would I want to be a politician? No, I want to be a comic book creator. And but if I were a politician, I would be doing the right thing for people, because how could you not? It's so evil to embezzle and all the stuff that so many of them do, and go into these fake wars and overrule personal rights and parent rights and just attack the very bedrock of our culture. It's insane. So I don't know. It's weird that the people that would be best at it want nothing to do with it. But I don't know. I heard someone once say, and I'm too good looking, by the way, because they do say that politics is Hollywood for ugly people. So sorry. It is tall, dark, and handsome, by the way. So the concept tall, dark, and handsome is quite literally named after me. So humble too. I'm humble too, if you're wondering. See, I have to be very careful with what I'm doing here. There's so much detail on this uniform, on all of this stuff happening here with the stretching of the fabric and this, that. I cannot go in and detail all that with the colors. This thing it'll fall apart if I do that. So I have to pick and choose very carefully what will embellish it and show it as a shape, as a big shape. I have to be very, very careful doing that. Yeah, because if you blast this thing with details, you're toast. See, that's just all those details there. I'm just hitting with a subtle light. There's a reflected light coming up, and then I'm just going to detail a tiny bit of it in big shapes, and that will give me just an embellishment of the drawing, but not step on it and ruin it. If I got in there and outlined every little line that was done here, it's a disaster if you do that. So people are going to love this. They're going to love this thing when it's out. It's what you need. They took away all your good, fun entertainment, gave you woke slop, told you were a bigot if you wouldn't like it. It's like, I couldn't imagine, like, you have a restaurant, you just serve dog shit food. It's like just horrible food, no good technique. You hired the chef because it was DEI, not because the chef could cook or knew anything about food safety or how to actually make something delicious. And the DEI chef makes the worst food on earth. Customers come in, they throw up, they get sick, they get grossed out. Then you just call them bigots for not liking the slop that you're serving. That's what Disney and all them are doing. They're just, it's slop. It's pure, it's garbage. And then you're a bigot for not liking their garbage and handing over your freaking hard-earned money for their garbage. Don't fall for the psyop. See, that's the whole thing, being raised without father culture, because we are all raised without a father culture. Some of you have fathers, and that's great, and it's a wonderful blessing. But in general, the Western culture is an anti-father culture, and a father will tell you, we don't have to get approval from others. We don't need to let others shame us and tell us that we're racists and bigots and homophobes. And when you have father culture, you won't fall for that crap. When you have mother culture, you're more group validation seeking because women are that way. Women are held back by being group validation seekers. What does the group think? Women will say things to quote unquote keep the peace. I think it's done out of fear. I don't think it's done out of nobility, like a noble sense of being kind. You know, women are saying they're being nicer. I think it's just done out of fear of the group ostracizing them. Because for women, much more so than men, being ostracized with a group is a death sentence. Because women rely on the group, on society to survive. Men don't. There's a reason there's a concept of a thing called the lone wolf, but there's no lone wolfess, right? There's no such thing as that. Because that's not how women operate. And this is not a criticism of women. It is merely an observation of how they're different. There is no problem with women being the way they are, but they must be in their proper role for society to flourish. If they're not, things get out of order, and then it isn't good. So yes, women are much more, in my opinion, dishonest about what they really think and feel to stay included in the group. They do not want the group to ostracize them. And that's why you get all this madness that we're seeing, this wokeness, because look at how they brutally enforce the groupthink, the communist, women, feminist, whatever. All that cancel stuff is mean girl stuff. It's not how men and boys are supposed to act. So it's a perversion when men have that mindset. Men are not supposed to be that way. Men, I mean, if you look at the iconoclasts in history, the men that stood up to the government, to everything. Look at Galileo. The church is persecuting because he's like, hey guys, turns out the sun is the center of our solar system. And the church is just like, and wanting to throw him in prison and all that because it's heresy. And only men tend to do that, to go against the grain like that outwardly, to be the outspoken type. This is just not a trait of females in general. There are probably exceptions. I can't think of any, and it doesn't matter if there are, because exceptions don't prove it wrong. As we know, exceptions prove the rule in life. So, but okay, guys, it's already 11:51. I'm going to get out of here. I have a great time talking to you guys. You guys are the best. Be here every Monday through Friday, 11 to noon Pacific. We're doing live art, talking life, talking politics, and having a great time. You guys are the best. Go to bigmancomics.com, get a copy of Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, and get on the mailing list. Follow me on X. I'm Big Man Comics on X. I'm Gabe Altaib, as you see there in the corner over there. Everywhere else except TikTok, I'm Big Man Comics 1, and we will talk to you on it's Friday. We'll talk to you on Monday. See you at 11 a.m. Pacific Monday. Bye-bye.